Okay, Patrick, tell us your name.
My name is Patrick Neil Zapata, father of a soon-to-be 4-year-old.
Okay, now I never made you say anything that's not true here and never solicited anything from you, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so this testimonial is about your son, and you can tell us what happened to him and what you saw here.
Yes. Prior to bringing him here, he was actually, the doctors pretty much thought he was borderline autistic.
Okay.
He had speech development issues. Didn't have a really good attention span for anything. Just very high energy and no focus. And also the teachers, we've been taking him to daycare. They noticed that he had some development issues. He wasn't very responsive to the teachers' method of teaching.
And he didn't have he had a very limited vocabulary.
Very limited, very limited. He was pretty much just basically babbling, and the extent of his vocabulary was very, very, very limited.
And how far behind this kid his own age would you say he was?
I'd say at least a year and a half behind, at
Okay.
least.
And how old was he at the time?
This was between the ages of 2 and 3.
Okay.
We did bring him here, and actually I came for my visit. I just happened to have my son along with me, and Dr. Probe noticed that he was just a little unhinged and a little just
Off.
he was very off. No focus, just wanting to run around and just make
Noises.
nonsensical noises. And he asked me, do you mind if I, adjust him and see if, see what, if we can do something with him? I said, yeah, sure, no problem. It was funny. He adjusted him, and Sebastian didn't fight or anything. He just went along with it and adjusted his neck and adjusted his back.
And what did you notice immediately?
And it was just like he flipped the switch. All of a sudden, he was just calm, very focused. He was standing still, which he wasn't doing before because he was just making laps around the room, and was able to look at him in the eye and look everybody in the eye. He was just very focused, and it was just like a switch, night and day.
And he'd never really looked at anyone in the eye before.
No, usually he was just kind of, he would run up to you and then he'd be off doing something else. But yeah, he was very focused. And then, not even a week later, the teachers at the daycare were just like, have you guys noticed the difference? And we're like, well, what do you mean the difference? Well, have you noticed that he's focused now and he's actually starting to talk and his vocabulary has just changed? And I said, yeah, we have noticed. He got adjusted, and it was just like, and I told the teachers, it was like a switch was flipped, and all of a sudden he was just talking more, and then you're able to talk to him, and he repeats what you're able to, what you're saying, increasing his vocabulary. And to this day, he's starting to make full sentences, which he wasn't doing last year.
And how about when your wife told you she wanted to bring something upstairs? Tell me about that.
Something upstairs.
You said, I want him to take this upstairs, and she said...
yes. I was just, he'd never be one to follow any sort of direction. You could never say, hey, can you put this in the trash? And he would just play with it and then throw it in the corner. And one day I was just, I'm going to try this. And I had a bag of trash, a little bag, and I said, Sebastian, can you take this upstairs and put in the trash for me? And my wife looked at me, she's like, what are you doing? He doesn't listen. I said, just I want to see if he does this. I'm really trying to get him developed. So I give him the trash bag, and he said, okay. He went and walked up the stairs and went upstairs. And next thing you hear is something being dropped in the trash can. And I looked at her, I was like, how about that? And she looked at me, she's like, no way he did that. I said, come on, let's go look. So we went upstairs, and sure enough, the bag I'd given him was in the trash can. He would never have done that before. Never would have followed direction, wouldn't even let me hold his hand crossing the street, just wanted to be left alone, not be touched. And now, every time we walk up to the street, and I say, let me hold your hand so we can cross the street, and he does it. Sure enough, no problem. He follows direction. He listens now.
So there's a huge difference in him.
Huge difference. He's not the same child he was last year.
Would you have ever thought about trying chiropractic?
Honestly, I didn't realize it would be so effective. And I was surprised. And to this day, I'm just amazed. Totally amazed. And Jennifer's amazed. My wife is amazed as well. Everybody's noticed it.
Your mother-in-law notices it? What did she say?
She's just, because she doesn't see him as often as we do, but she'll come over once a week and just be like, listen to the words he's saying. I can actually hear and have a conversation with him. I understand what he's saying, and he understands what I'm saying. I was like, yeah, that's amazing. And he's starting to follow direction too.
Wow. Well, that's fabulous.
It is.
Isn't that great?
I don't know where we'd be right now if I hadn't brought him in here just off chance. If I hadn't brought him in, no telling what he'd be doing right now. He'd probably still be behind.
So, very good. Well, thank you.
You're very welcome.